So today you are going to learn about the anatomy or the parts of a complex sentence. So by the end of this video, you'll be able to identify an independent clause, dependent clause, and a complex sentence. And you'll also be able to create your own complex sentences. Okay, let's get started. So you should have this guided notes paper right in front of you that is entitled Anatomy of a Complex Sentence, so that you can take notes while you are watching the video. Alright, so let's get started. So at the top of this paper, we have a sentence that says, "It is important to have good friends because they can help us through hard times." This is a complex sentence. I have an independent clause and a dependent clause that is connected together, which makes this sentence a complex sentence. So let's look at the first part of the sentence and identify if it's independent clause or if it's a dependent clause. So the first part says, "It is important to have good friends." That part of the sentence is considered an independent clause. The reason it is independent is because I have a subject, I have a verb, and I have a complete thought. It can stand on its own. When you're independent, you can stand on your own. So just like with our sentences, if they can stand alone and they don't need anything else to make them complete, they are independent. So it is important to have good friends. That is an independent clause. Now let's look at the rest of the sentence. It says, "Because they can help us through hard times." Because they can help us through hard times. That part of the sentence is considered the dependent clause. The dependent clause has the subordinating conjunction, which is also known as the woovis word, and that is the word because. It also has a subject, which is they, and it also has the verb, can help. But the reason it is a dependent clause is because it cannot stand on its own. This portion of the sentence needs the independent clause so that it can stand alone or stand and work together. So the definition of a complex sentence is a complex sentence has one independent clause and one or more dependent clauses, which we just saw in our previous example. So now let's look at a checklist for independent clause. So to help you identify if a portion of a sentence is indeed independent, it has a subject and a verb, and it can stand alone as a sentence. So if it satisfies those two check marks, then it is indeed an independent clause. So let's look at the dependent clause checklist. So for a dependent clause, if it begins with a subordinating conjunction, or also known as an woovis word, has a subject and a verb, and if it cannot stand alone because it must be connected to an independent clause, then it is in fact a dependent clause. Alright, since you guys have been working so hard watching this video and taking notes, I have a commercial break for you. It's a bit inspirational. I hope you guys enjoy.
There will never be a point in your life where it's the right time to do a great thing. If you're waiting for that perfect moment, that perfect timing, it's not going to happen. You know what you have to do? You have to create the perfect time and the perfect opportunity and the perfect situation.
Is that a lot of people become comfortable. They stop growing. They stop wanting anything. They become satisfied. People getting ready to go to jobs that they don't like. Jobs that are making them sick. You see, when you're not pursuing your goal, you are literally committing spiritual suicide. When you have some goal out here that you're stretching for and reaching for that takes you out of your comfort zone, you'll find out some talents and abilities you have that you didn't know you have. When the messenger of misery visits you, what are you going to do? What will keep you in the game?
There are things that you think you'll never need to know, that you may only need to know one time in your life, but that could save your life because you had that knowledge.
Unless you attempt to do something beyond that which you've already mastered, you will never grow. What is it that you looked at some point in time and you decided that you couldn't do it, that you talked yourself out of it?
You're waiting on your next door neighbor to make it happen for you. It may not happen. If you're waiting on your mother or your father, they may be so ancient in their thinking that they don't understand this opportunity that you have. And if you're waiting on them, it may never get done. You don't beg average people to be phenomenal. You don't beg good people to be phenomenal. You just are phenomenal, and you will attract phenomenal.
What reason can you remember that you can call on, that you can reach on, that can make you get back up? Find that reason.
If you're not where you are, if you're not where you want to be, if you don't have what you want to have, if you're not where you think you should be at this particular place, it has nothing to do with the system, but it has everything to do with the fact that you're not making the sacrifice. I want you to make that dream become a reality, because if you don't, you will be working for somebody else to make their dreams become a reality.
Everybody is against you or don't believe in you no more. And let me tell you something, that's a lonely feeling. It's a lonely feeling, particularly people that you're doing it for. Most people take their greatness, take their ideas to the graveyard with them.
Listen to me, if it was easy, everybody would do it. There are people right now who are working who don't want to work. There are people who hate their jobs, but they keep getting up to do it.
All right, let's look at sentence number 3. It says, although the president and his family lives there. Although the president and his family lives there. So let's look at the checklist to see if this is an independent clause or a dependent clause. So remember, the independent clause has a subject and a verb, and so does the dependent clause. So let's look at the difference. Remember, the dependent clause begins with a subordinating conjunction. Although, is that a subordinating conjunction or also an alubis word? Yes, it is. So that satisfies one criteria from the dependent clause checklist. It has a subject and a verb, which is president and family. President, family, those are the subjects. And then the verb is lives. So remember, a dependent clause, it cannot stand alone. It must be connected to an independent clause. Although the president and his family lives there. So that cannot stand alone. That is not a complete sentence. So it must be connected to an independent clause to be a complete sentence. So therefore, it is a dependent clause. Alright, let's look at number 4. Many tourists visit the capital each year. Alright, so let's look at the difference again. Does the sentence begin with a subordinating conjunction, or also known as an aruba word? Many. Many is not a subordinating conjunction. Alright, does it have subject and a verb? Tourist is the subject and visit is the verb. And can it stand alone? Many tourists visit the capital each year. Yes, it can. This can stand alone. Therefore, this is an independent clause. So, don't forget that what we just went through shows you the different components of a complex sentence. Remember, a complex sentence would include an independent clause and one or more dependent clauses. So you were just able to identify an independent clause and a dependent clause. And putting them together creates a complex sentence. So now you are able to identify an independent clause, dependent clause, and a complex sentence. And you are able to create a complex sentence. Thank you, guys.
Question is, what are you going to do with your time? What drives you? And greatness is a lot of small things done well. Day after day, workout after workout, obedience after obedience, day after day.
When things don't work out for you, when things happen that you could not anticipate, what are the reasons that you can think of that can keep you strong?
You will never ever be successful until you turn your pain into greatness, until you allow your pain to push you from where you are to push you to where you need to be. Stop running from your pain and embrace your pain. Your pain is going to be a part of your prize, a part of your product. I challenge you to push yourself.
See, it's easy to be on the bottom. It doesn't take any effort to be a loser. It doesn't take any motivation, any drive in order to stay down there on a low level. But it calls on everything in you. You have to harness your will to say, I'm going to challenge myself.
I mean that what you did last week don't count. Today is the only important day. There are 86,400 seconds in a day, and how you use those are critical. You got 86,400 today, and what you do today is going to cement who you are. Nobody's going to talk about what you did last week.
That the biggest enemy you have to deal with is yourself. There's an old African proverb that says, if there's no enemy within, the enemy outside can do us no harm.
You have this opportunity of a lifetime. It means absolutely nothing if you don't take advantage of it in the lifetime of this opportunity.
I got a saying that when life knocks you down, try and land on your back, because if you can look up, you can get up. If you want a thing bad enough to go out and fight for it, to work day and night for it, to give up your time, your peace, and your sleep for it, if all that you dream and scheme is about it, and life seems useless and worthless without it. See, it's time now. If you want to make this your decade, you've got to start saying yes to your life. You've got to start saying yes to your dreams, yes to your unfolding future, yes to your potential, as opposed to saying no.
When you die on E. Leave no dream left behind, guys. Leave no opportunity left behind. When you leave this earth, accomplish every single thing you can accomplish. Listen to me, you're going to be here one day, but you'll never get here if you give up, if you give in, if you quit. And finally, guys, you got to want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe.